Welcome to the Aggressive Realty Show. My name is Ken Temborski, broker, Orlando, Pena, top agent. I'd like to talk to you a little bit today about what's going on in the market. It's kind of an update of, we try to do this every couple months and see where we're going. One of the things that we're seeing right now is inventory is very low. Inventory in the whole MLS is probably right around 575 houses, which is very low. What normally a couple years back would run 2,000 houses. What one of the issues are going on right now is naturally is what's called the interest rate. The interest rate is honestly, as of yesterday, was around 7%, depending on your credit. If your credit's a little worse, if you're down to like a 630 or 640, your interest rate will be a little higher. But with, a conventional loan, right, with 20% down, you might get away with something without PMI. PMI is also private mortgage insurance that raises it. So it's very important right now to take a look at what's going on. What they said was today, this morning before I left, housing is down 30%
That's
in
incredible.
new mortgages.
Wow.
30%.
Wow.
This month. It's the lowest. It's 30% under where it's ever been. It's going back in the pre-pandemic time.
Yeah.
It's 25% lower than then. I mean, that's pretty bad.
But you know what, Kenny? This is a big opportunity for the sellers. This is the seller's market right now.
It is.
If you're planning to sell your property, this is the best time.
Prices went up 25% from last year on the price of a house. Yep. So that proves your point.
Absolutely, because there is like more buyer on the market than the inventory.
Yes, yes. And by having more, it's very competitive. Yes. So it's not hard to get your price for your house. Now, I understand sometimes people say, well, how do I step up and go from this mortgage to this mortgage? Well, there are times that it does work, and by doing that sometimes, maybe you're going lateral, maybe you're an elder couple that want to retire and step back a little bit and downsize. It's absolutely the best time because of the 25% increase in prices from last year.
Kenny, let me ask you a question. I'm a client. If I want to sell my property and I don't know the process, if I call Aggressive Realty, and you are on the phone. So can you please tell me what is the process if I don't know anything? Kenny, I want to sell this property. Can you tell me what is the process?
Yes, what we'll do is we'll take your name and number. We have 22 agents on staff. We'll take your name and number, or whoever will answer that phone will do that. We'll come out and see you. It costs nothing. There's no charge. We'll come out, take a look at it. We'll take a walkthrough with you. We'll emphasize. One of the things with Aggressive Realty is we kind of do it all. It's around, it makes it convenient. The people are, when people sell a home or buy a home, they're scared. Yeah. They need somebody they can trust to do it all, not part of it. Yeah. So once we go take a walk through the house and we look at the house and we make some notes, we look for add-ons, we're looking for hardwood floors, we look for add-ons. Kitchens and bathrooms are your biggest update that you should have. That's where you put your money.
Exactly.
You walk in there, and once you do that, you can get a look at the square footage of the home. That's the most important, your outside measurement first. Then what you do is you do the same thing when you go back to do a CMA. You do what's called a competitive market analysis. That is the same as almost an appraisal. Yeah. And that's what's sold in a 6-month period in a 1-mile radius of that home. That's how you get your per square footage per dollar per square foot. Once you get that, you come back to the client and you give them a number for their home. You tell them, here's where it's got to be. And what's really important is you got to be very close because the appraiser comes out. Yep. And when the appraiser comes out for the bank, whoever's buying it, it's called LTV, loan to value. They're going to only lend you, the bank is going to lend you either 80% if you're doing a conventional. Yep. If you're doing an FHA, they're going to lend you 95% of what that appraiser says. So it's so important that our number comes close. There's no more like it used to be. Once you do that, we get the number. If you're in agreement with the number, we have paperwork. Paperwork is, there's a consumer notice, there's a lead form, there's a contract. It just says that we are listing and selling your home. Once we do that, we get it on the market, we get it in the newspaper. We have 17 websites that we're on. Realtor.com, Zillow, HomePath, I can go on. It is so publicized. It'll be in the newspaper every day. Our website's aggressiverealty.com. It'll be on there.
Also, Kenny, we also promote our listing in the social media.
Yes.
Instagram, Facebook, TikTok.
This guy is phenomenal with that. And you know what? It's to the point that Aggressive Realty gets calls from whether it's Facebook, whether it's a newspaper. One of the best advertisements we have is honestly the Sam Lassant show. Sam Lassant has opened this opportunity. We've been probably doing it for 4 years now, 5 years, maybe even more. And you know what? There's a lot of people that watch this channel, and it helps a lot.
I have a lot of experience when I came in a supermarket, any store, I said, "Hey, Orlando, I see you in the San Lassant show." So yeah.
It's so common, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
And that's where people should be putting their money on our local end of it. But once it's done, then we go with signs. We'll look at putting a sign. We'll put a sign on the property. We'll put a lockbox on the property. We will notify you 24 hours before showings. In other words, now there are some times, Orlando, that we get somebody on a weekend that's up and says, "I'm going back on Monday. Can I please see the house?" And they give you hours notice. We'll call you and say, "Is it okay?" It's the only way to do this, and we're giving you proper notice. Whether you want a text or you want a phone call, we'll do it what it takes.
We're gonna follow up any showings, and we're just gonna say, "Listen, there is somebody that wants to show. We're gonna call you. If you're not available, no. If yes, we can let the people to see this house."
And then what we'll do is when we come back, we're going into our first point here. We'll go back in here now. We're going to tell you what's going to happen once we get an offer.
Exactly.
But we'll be right back. This is Ken Temborski and Orlando Pena, the Aggressive Realty Show. Welcome. Thank you for coming back to the Aggressive Realty Show. I'm Ken Temborski, and this is Orlando Pena. What's going on? What are you seeing now?
Kenny, let me ask you a question. Now, we were talking previously about when you list the property, we marketing, we do everything. But can you please tell me what are the next steps when we receive an offer?
Well, when we get an offer, it comes in and it's quite lengthy. You get an offer, whether you have one or two, you put them together and you call. We make no decisions. All our decisions are put back to the client. We'll pick up the phone, we'll call up, and a lot of times if they're very close, we'll ask them to come down so that we can copy them. We can give them copies of it. We can show them the pre-approval. We can give them what they need. Okay, if they like it, they can sign it and initial it, and then we send it off to the appropriate people, the attorney, the closing company, and the mortgager. Very important. Then what we do is we get to the point where they will set up, whoever the buyer is has their own mortgages, they'll call us to get in to look at the house. But in the meantime, we have to do what the city of Hazleton, West Hazleton, Freeland, a lot of the municipalities have occupancy permits. And in the occupancy permit,
what are the requirements for this occupancy permit?
Occupancy permit, you got to have a smoke detector in every bedroom and every floor. You got to have a carbon monoxide detector now on each floor. You got to have a GFI, ground fault receptacles, that are put in everywhere 6 foot from all water sources, meaning the washing machine, the sinks. And I got to tell you, we have had nothing but good success with the city of Hazleton and the municipalities, because you know what? We do what they ask us, and you know what? They're doing it for a reason. They'll look for polarity. The electrical box has to be labeled. The things that should be done for people to get in. Broken windows have to be fixed. hot water has to be on, heat has to be on. They're making sure that our community is safe.
Kenny, let me ask another question. I'm a seller and I don't know those stuff. Who can do it? Who do you suggest?
Well, Aggressive Realty has a handyman that does all our work. What he does is he'll go in and do that at a very reasonable rate. We don't do nothing till the end, and we'll put it on the HUD sheet on the sale. So you don't have to pay nothing now.
Wow.
We do it to what it has to be. Once it's done that way, then you turn around and you make sure that everything is proper. And then you sit there and you wait for the appraisal to come back. You also can have an inspection. The buyer sometimes has an inspection. So we got to meet the inspector for a regular inspection. That's for structure.
Yep.
Then you have radon. Okay, then you have pest. So usually any one of them three, and you can also have a lead test. Okay, but them three, that is the cost to the buyer. That is not the cost to the seller.
Yep.
Once that's done, you'll get a report back. They have to give you a copy of that report. And that report comes back and says, this is wrong, this is wrong, and this is wrong, and this is what we would like repaired. Now, a lot of people don't understand that's a negotiated point. That's not mandatory. Like I see a lot of people come back and say, well, the roof needs a roof. Well, I might agree. I might not agree. If it has more than 5 years, it's not a requirement. But let's say it does need a roof. Some people think it's going to be, you're going to pay for a 30-year roof. That's not the way it is. You sit down and you kind of work it out. You say, listen, I'll give you $5,000 towards a roof. I'll give you something. I'll work with you. Compromise is success.
Yep.
Once you establish that and you're in agreement with the reply to inspections, then you're just basically waiting.
Kenny, let me ask you another question. If I'm a seller, if I live out of state, for example, in Florida, if I'm not able to come to the closing, can I do the closing since
Yes.
up there?
Yes. What happens is, and you know, that's a good question because a lot of our estates are filled with furniture. They're filled with stuff, the attics, the basements. And when there's an estate and somebody passes, the children usually might be from out of state and they want somebody to take care of it all. We will also have it cleaned out. We will also have it cleaned. We will also get it ready for sale so that it's done. We do everything at one time. Okay, even when you come into your point, we'll have the packet sent to them. See, we could sign everything except the deed.
Okay.
So what we do is we have the closing company will send it directly to them. They sign the paperwork
Notarize it.
and have it notarized, right?
Yep.
And then they send it back. Then we go to closing. The closing company will send you, wire you your check.
Yep.
So you don't even have to come to closing. We do it from A to Z, and we try to do it all to make it convenient for you.
Kenny, and have you had any experience when a seller is, selling the property and there is an issue with the tenants? What is the process? You also do this job because we just closed one property in Diamond Ave that we have this situation. Mm-hmm. Can you explain, please, the audience what you can do?
Well, it's nothing that we like to do a lot, but what happens is when somebody buys a property, they naturally want to get into the property. And if you have a tenant already in there that don't want to leave, you got to go through a foreclosure, an eviction process. Eviction process is very complicated. It's 10 days to post it. Once you post it and give them notice, if they do not listen, you got to go to the magistrate. You got to file at the magistrate's office. It costs roughly about $150. You filed, there's a hearing. He gets a hearing. He says you're right. Either they owe the money or not. And then they turn around and they get so many days they can appeal. They have 10 days to appeal that decision. After that 10 days, I got to go back and file again at the magistrate and get another hearing to get them out. Once I get that point of out, it takes about 40 days, 45 days. Once all that takes place and we follow the law, then what happens is if they still don't get out, then we have to hire a constable to come with us to get them out. And, we don't like to do that.
Yep.
But sometimes you have to do that. Or sometimes they don't let you in.
Yep. Yep.
Then you have to get the owner. You just did Diamond Avenue. You did a great job with that.
Exactly. That listing was a tough one, but we got it done.
One of the other things that we do is in the winter, we'll look at a property. Having 22 agents makes it good. We go back and we'll take a look. Sometimes we look at things that go on, like security is very big. Also, heat's very big at this time of the year.
Yeah, Kenny, if there is a property that is listed and is vacant, so we usually check it out like every 3 or 4 days a week.
We try to. We do not have that responsibility. That is not our liability, but we do it. Again, I'm Ken Temborski, Orlando Pena. We will be right back. Appreciate you very much. Welcome back to the Aggressive Realty Show. Again, I'm Ken Temborski and Orlando Pena. We're going to talk a little bit in this section about what's going on in the market with some of the listings. Listings are so important right now. We will come out immediately. Once you call, you can email. Our number 788-8500. Come out, take a look at your property. We want your listings. We want them, and we'll do what it takes to sell them. We will get you the most. I can tell you a story. We just had West Maple Street in West Hazleton. We listed it, and we sold it within a day.
Wow.
Okay? The people it was an estate. It had to be cleaned out. We had to do some stuff. And you know what? It's very important. Last show, we talked about Joe and his son. Yeah. Joe's son was the boy at Wise that did the carts for 19 years. Very good people. He still calls me. He calls me once a week. He's down in Philadelphia in a home, and him and his father, and they call, and they miss the area. We've grown a friendship. He actually sent my wife flowers.
Wow, that's incredible.
Because we were busy at his place, and he felt bad.
We helped him to do the stake sale. Mm-hmm. It was incredible closing.
Yeah, it was and it's not normal. I mean, honestly, we don't do that as a prerequisite. We do it because we want to do it. We want to help you. We want to make your job easier. If your job's easier, ours is actually easier because everybody gets along.
Yep.
Correct?
Yeah, absolutely.
Diamond Avenue.
That was a tough one.
It was a double home.
A double house. They were staying and living there.
Both of them wouldn't get out.
Yep.
You have times, and then the buyer gets anxious. They get to the point where they say, I'm backing out. Well, what do? You went through all this process, you did this. So you always walk in a little bit sometimes on cornflakes that it could happen. Same with inspections. Let's go back to the city of Hazleton. We had a case there, and I talked about this one time, that a window was needed. A window was so big. You know, people think that the city or any municipality, not just the Hazleton city, is against you. They're not. They're there to help you. They're to keep you safe, to keep you from getting hurt, keep you from burning in the fire, and they're there to help their firemen. When they explained to me, Mrs. Diane, she explained to me one of the reasons the window has to be so big. And I said, well, this house has been here for 50 years. She said, well, Ken, and it's true. If a fireman's got to go in that window with an air pack, he's got to fit in that window. Okay, it's not only a body, it's an air pack on his back, his helmet, his stuff. And it's true. He's got to be able to get in there.
Yep.
And that's why some of them requirements are what they are.
That is called egress windows. Mm-hmm. The firefighter can exit and enter the property if there is a fire.
And it's same thing with attics.
Yep, with the attics.
You know, we used to be able to just put a ladder out the window and drop the roll-up ladder down. You can't do that no more.
For example, this one on Maple Street in West Hazleton. This is an estate. You lease the property, and I brought the buyer, and the property was sold and pending in
24 hours.
In 24 hours notice. In 24 hours.
And that's important. Like I said, when we have 22 agents, what happens is we have a separate thing where we talk. All of us communicate. And it's very important that we communicate, because if I get a listing, I let all my people know. He gets a listing, he lets everybody know. instantly for the first 3 days, it's our people that will go out there and we know about it as we're getting it listed. Now, it's 24 hours that we will immediately, the minute the sign goes on, the lockbox goes on, then it's public. It is automatically. But if we're working on something, we communicate. If we have a potential listing, we communicate. And that helps the customer.
Absolutely. The properties around the country, just before we came in, we were talking about the city inspections.
Yes.
So we prepare the property ready for closings. We start working since day one.
Right. It takes 45 days to close, okay? Roughly. Everything is 45 days. We'll start. This just happened. We were talking about, okay, this is going in now, and this we're ready. We're ready long time before. And matter of fact, this house is winterized.
It's winterized, yes.
Because the owner who passed away was in Florida at the time. That was his winter home. So now we have to have it de-winterized. We have to have it ready for the inspections. You're doing the occupancy with the Great West Hazelton people. And we'll get it done ahead of time so we're ready.
Yeah. So we prepare the property. If you lease a property with Aggressive Realty, let us all do the job. We're just gonna prepare for the occupancy, for the appraiser, for any inspection that the buyer choose. So
if it has, what happens if it has radon?
Yep.
What do?
We're gonna call the company that gonna be remediate the random
and
get prices. We just gonna, we have the like a Lexus company that gonna give the best prices. Give us a call. Let us see the property. Let us see what is worth the property, and then we just gonna talk to you.
One of the things that also people think they have to go in and paint and do all this work. Let us see it first.
Yes.
To paint a home, a whole home today is about $5,000, which is a great price because paint's so expensive anymore in labor. What happens though is it might not, they'll go in and they'll paint blue. Some people don't like blue. I'd rather you keep the price lower and not pay the money to do it if you don't have to. I like them painted and look beautiful and smell nice, but there's times then paint it neutral. Keep neutral colors. Your whites, your tans, your earth tones. Very important.
Yeah, very important. And also another thing, Kenny, is that when somebody collects, we just gonna give the value that is like, we're not gonna give a lower value, neither higher value. We're just gonna give the reasonable value of the property. In that way, you cannot lose money. In that way, you cannot lose the sale because if you list it too high.
Do you know that the average time right now is 54 days for selling a house? That's a national average. This morning I heard that.
But in Aggressive Realty, our
we're
days.
We hope 7 to 10 days.
7 to 10 days, yes.
But it's very important. Again, it's been a hard year for everybody. The cold, the winter. We're coming to spring now. You want to get a jump even if you have an idea on selling, you want to call us. Give us a call. Let us come out and take a look. We'll take a look at it and we'll give you some ideas, give you some numbers, give you some suggestions. And again, phone number 788-8500 or aggressiverealty.com. You can get any one of us is our first name at aggressiverealty.com. All of us have the same emails. So please don't hesitate. Ken at aggressiverealty.com, Orlando at aggressiverealty.com. It's best to call, best to leave a message. We'll get it, and we'll go from there.
We will get it done. Give us a call, and we're just going to take a look at the property, and we promise that we're going to sell it.
We'll do our very best. There's no guarantees, but we will do our best.
Yep, absolutely. Give us a call today.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. See you in the next show.
Next show, another couple months.
Yes.